Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Absolutely, always ready to explore.
Today we're going to be talking about something that's both incredibly ancient
Mm.
and really mind-bendingly complex.
Uh-oh. Sounds like we're in for a ride.
Cyclical time.
Ooh, interesting.
And get this, we're going to be looking at it from two totally different perspectives. We're going to be looking at the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche
Okay.
and, believe it or not, ancient Mayan civilization.
Now, that is a fascinating combination. I'm curious to see where this goes.
Yeah, what could those two possibly have in common?
Right.
Well, more than you might think.
Okay, well, you've piqued my interest. Let's get into it.
All right, so first, let's tackle Nietzsche.
Okay.
He had this, well, I don't know if you'd even call it a theory, this idea called eternal return. And basically, it's like, imagine everything that's ever happened, but I mean everything.
Everything.
Happens again.
Okay.
And again and again. Forever.
Like a cosmic replay button.
Exactly. And, for Nietzsche, he wasn't really interested in the science of whether this could actually be true or not.
Right.
But more like the philosophical questions that this idea brings up. Like if you knew that every choice, every action you made would be repeated infinitely, how would that change the way you live your life?
Yeah, does it take away your free will?
Or does it actually empower you in some way?
Right. Because, I've definitely had those moments where I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that over again.
Right.
But if you knew you were going to do it over again an infinite number of times, I don't know, it's kind of a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to think about. And that's where his idea of amor fati comes in.
Okay, love of fate, right.
Love of fate. Basically, Nietzsche believed that to truly accept this idea of eternal return,
Yeah.
you would have to love every single part of your life.
The good, the bad.
The good, bad, and the ugly.
Everything.
Knowing that it would all happen again. It's like saying yes to everything. Even the parts that, you wish you could change.
Even the messy parts. Wow, so how do you even begin to wrap your head around that?
Right. It's tough. But Nietzsche really tied this to becoming what he called the Superman.
Oh, right.
Someone who doesn't just passively accept their fate, but actually creates meaning in a world where it might seem like there is no meaning.
Right, because if it's all just going to happen again anyway,
Exactly.
does anything really matter? So you have to create your own meaning.
You kind of have to define your own values in the face of this eternal return.
Yeah, find something to hold on to.
That's pretty intense stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe we should switch gears a little bit.
Yeah, I could use a little break from existential dread.
Let's talk about the Mayans.
Okay.
They also had this cyclical view of time.
Right. But they express it in a very different way through their calendar system.
Through their incredible calendar system.
Right. Talk about a different way of thinking about time.
Yeah. So for the Mayans, time wasn't a straight line. It was more like a series of interconnected cycles that were always repeating.
Constantly in motion, always coming back around.
And they had two main calendars.
Yeah.
The Tzolk'in,
The sacred calendar.
the 260-day sacred calendar, and then the Hab.
365-day solar calendar.
Right. And these weren't just let's mark down what day it is,
Right.
This was deeply intertwined with every aspect of their life.
Their agriculture, their ceremonies, their whole understanding of the cosmos.
Yeah, their whole cosmology. So could you give us a concrete example of how these calendars actually work together?
Imagine a wheel within a wheel.
Okay.
So the Tzolk'in, that cycles through 20 named days and 13 numbers.
Okay.
So you end up with 260 unique combinations.
Okay.
The Hab, that has 18 months of 20 days each, plus a 5-day period at the end.
Oh, wow.
And these cycles mesh together, so a specific date in the Tzolk'in lines up with a date in the Hab only once every 52 years.
Whoa. And that was a major, major event for them.
Absolutely. It was a time of great celebration, renewal, and also a little bit of trepidation.
Oh, really? Why trepidation?
Well, because they believed that the end of a cycle could also bring about, potential for upheaval or change.
Well, interesting.
So it was a time to reflect on the past, but also to look ahead with, a mix of hope and caution.
So each cycle for the Mayans was this opportunity to learn, to grow, to find a new balance.
Exactly. And the way their calendar system worked really emphasized that. It wasn't about fearing repetition, but about embracing it, seeing each cycle as this chance to get things right, to strive for harmony.
Okay, so we've got Nietzsche with this intense, cosmic Groundhog Day situation.
Yeah.
And the Mayans with their intricately woven calendars. And both see time as cyclical, but their approaches are so different.
It is fascinating, isn't it, how two such different cultures could arrive at a similar yet distinct view of something as fundamental as time.
So, like, what's the common ground here?
Well, I think the most interesting connection is that they both challenge the idea of linear time, the way we often think of time as this straight line from past to present to future.
Right, right.
Both Nietzsche and the Mayans force us to think about the now differently, to see it as part of this larger cycle, a rhythm that connects us to what came before and what's yet to come.
It's like they're both saying, hey, there's more to time than meets the eye. So for us, just living our everyday lives, does this actually change anything?
That's the big question, isn't it? Maybe it helps us to appreciate the present moment more, to not get so caught up in the past or worried about the future.
Yeah, maybe it gives us a different perspective on the challenges we face, like seeing them not just as roadblocks, but as part of this larger cycle of growth and change.
Exactly. Maybe it encourages us to approach things with a little more courage, a little more resilience, knowing that everything is in flux, that change is inevitable.
I like that. Like, even if things are tough right now, it's not the end of the story. There's always a new cycle coming.
Always a chance for renewal, for new beginnings.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? So, if we could truly see our lives as part of this grand, repeating cycle, would we make different choices? Would we approach our challenges, our relationships, our goals differently? It's definitely something to ponder as we move through life.
Absolutely. It's a perspective that can offer us a lot of wisdom and insight if we're open to it.
Food for thought. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Until next time.